Welcome back, guys. We're back. And now I think we're going to continue
Yeah,
from where we
this
left
is
off.
just a continuation. We want to tell you guys about democracy. Democracy is basically a system of government where the citizens choose the who will govern them, the party. There are so many different types of democracies. There are three. South Africa is a constitutional democracy. So our constitution is the utmost law. That's why you can't just easily change it. That is why apartheid will never come back. Also, our constitution is actually one of the most developed. There's not many countries that actually consider the socialist and underprivileged people. And unfortunately, we come from a past where black people, people of color actually in general, were not really taken care of in terms of the government. They were just white people were given the privilege, right?
Yes.
That is a fact. It's not even white people had privilege. To this day, we're actually suffering from the legacy of apartheid. So also, when you think about South Africa and the state that we're in, please do bear in mind that South Africa has only been a free state for 25 years, right? Segregation started over hundreds of years ago, guys. Like, there was slavery in South Africa, there was colonialism in South Africa, then there was apartheid. So don't be discouraged and think that you can't participate in politics because this is where we are. No, we're here because we're trying to rectify the things that happened in the past. Well, in 2015, our poverty line, 55% of our population in 2015 was living under the poverty line, right? And the basic income was 992 for the upper line per month, mind you, and around 658, if I'm not mistaken, per month in the lowest. So it's just, imagine a family of 3 or 4 surviving on less than 1,000 rand. That can't happen. And unfortunately, 64.2% of the population was black. Yet 1% was white, 42 was colored, 14 was Indian. So you can just see that, black people are at a disadvantage still. So even though some of us come from privilege, or we are more privileged than others, we just need to keep in mind and say that, hey, we're going to participate for the fact of someone else who's sleeping in the streets that just can't participate in the way that you can, or doesn't have the same impact as you can, And then the principles of democracy, the fact that you're allowed to vote, elections are free, they are fair, you have more than one party on the ballot, so which means you actually have a choice, so take part, learn as much as you can, inform yourself, make a decision. And we're also talking about the SONA. It's a speech that the president makes. It basically outlines the principles or what the government plans on delivering for the next 5 years that they're in power. And for our country, the plans for our country.
And which just shows how important the government is to us, And I think it's very imperative that once there's a government in power, it's important that we shouldn't go against them, but try to work with them. End of the day, we will have our flaws, but it's very, very important that we do respect them because they are in power now, and we cannot try to bring them down. We need a functional and progressive country. So it's very important that we respect them and try to encourage them and try to help them make this country better. Even though you don't like them, I think it's time that to think of the country as a whole. And it's very, very imperative that we look at the country as a whole, not as you as an individual. That's why the government is so important. The government, once we assist them and empower them and support them in what they do, eventually they'll be able to govern us well. And that's the thing. That's what we need to think of the government is people that govern us, the people that help us, in what we want to do. It affects our daily lives, especially in business, in economics, in education, and in health. It's very important that we stay in tune with such and help them. I think, what I'm saying, if a government did not have a favorable population, I don't think they would like to do their job properly. We have a lot of drama. We do have a lot of drama, we have a lot of politics. I think we've all established that. But I think I think let's just try our best to respect and support them no matter what. And I think if we don't and we decide to look the other way and look at the glass as half empty, I don't think we're going to progress as we want to.
Okay, so my friend here is an optimist, right? He's very optimistic. Hey, happy-go-lucky guy. I'm going to tell you guys, hold the government accountable, right? If it means that you need to protest. You can't go to jail for protesting. No. another beauty about democracy is the fact that there's contestation, which means that you're allowed to disagree with your government. You're allowed to say that, hey, I am not for the party that is in power right now, and you won't go to jail for it. Turkey. So many journalists, so many university professors, my school that I went to shut down because of the coup. Like, it's just like politics affects your life so much. Like, you know, like the price of bread, they can only cap it for so long. Like, even that, like,
I think, listen, you're right, and don't get me wrong by saying that we should always take action.
True.
Necessary action if you have your rights.
Yeah.
Should be wise.
No, I know. I'm just giving them, different
just,
point of view. That hey, you're allowed to go protest. You're allowed to say that my government isn't actually doing what it's supposed to do. Hold it accountable. Do as much as you can to make sure that the government actually treats everybody with the respect that they deserve. I mean, considering the state of inquiry, the state capture inquiry thing going on right now, those are the type of things. And that's also the reason why, democracy, right? We have 3 spheres of government, guys. We have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. So all 3 things are separate from each other. Like, our presidents can't make laws. That is just not possible because of the fact that we have 3 spheres of government, because you separate powers in order to make people accountable, right? So your judicial power is supposed to make sure that the executive don't overdo it. They don't take advantage of their power. The executive branch, actually, which is our government, must listen to you. You're the one that voted for them, right? So they must do everything that they can do to protect you and have your rights and your interests at the forefront. The judicial power is just made to show that, hey, these are the laws, we keep order. And the legislative is to make laws. And I mean, our society is changing every single day, like people are now wanting to legalize weed. The legislative branch must actually now sit down in parliament and have a discussion about it and say, hey, this is what society is doing, this is where society is moving. How are we adjusting? Are we making policies? Fees must fall. That was a serious protest, So now the government must go back and actually say, okay, fine, this is what the people are saying. What policies are we going to put in place to ensure that the people are happy? So, the SONA is basically... the theme of the SONA this year was Let's Grow South Africa.
Let us grow
as we celebrate 25 years of freedom. So when you take part in politics, just keep in mind that at the end of the day, you are going to be affected, and it is in your best interest to take part as much as you can and to educate yourself so that when you do go outside, you're not really flustered, or you don't feel like, hey, I don't have an opinion, or I feel like this is unfair.
Whole thing went. I think it's best that let us try and grow and say where we can. I think we all have a contribution. There's a purpose to where we are. So let's try to contribute where we can as a nation. Each one do something, and I believe it'll become something very amazing once we unite and we try to grow South Africa and celebrate. And let's celebrate each year. We're not perfect, but we're growing and we're progressing as a country and we're developing, and that's what I'm certain of. Like I said, be wise in all that you do and be wise in what you intake, and do right by yourself and by the country.
One of the 7 properties of the SONA was the fact that we want to build a better Africa and world. So be impactful, participate, be proactive. If you've got a business idea, sit down with your friends, talk about it, create employment,
Exactly.
Take your education seriously. Like, it is a privilege to be educated. Exactly. It's a good thing.
As we close up, guys, South Africa, we are the future. And the youth of South Africa, we are the future. And it's very salient that we do add value to our country. It is our time. It really is. And we are the future. Like it or not, we need to step forward and we need to step up and make sure that we make this country a better place for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.